So first of all, here's the question for the entire conference. It's all centered around this question. In a world of 10,000 religions, can Jesus be the only way? And I want to begin by saying this is a great question. It's an absolutely fantastic question. When my friend asked me this question, he'd gotten to know me enough to know that he could say these types of things. Basically, as a pastor, George, you've completely and utterly wasted your entire life, and you're living a lie. But I still love you, and you're still my friend. But I thought I'd try to inform you about that. But it's a very, very, very good question. And here's the other thing. The church that I grew up in, I don't know if it's a completely fair statement, but it felt like it was true. But in the church that I grew up in, is this working at all? I'll just do this, Mark, and that means you have to change the slide, okay? We'll pretend it's technology, okay? Here's the thing, which in the church that I grew up in, and maybe some of the churches that you attend, and if you're here and you're not a Christian, and we're really, 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 really glad you're here, maybe your experience of Christians is that Christians are afraid of questions. I think the church that I grew up in, they would have said to me, George, you just need to believe more. You just have to have more faith. You just need to read the Bible more. You just need to pray more. And don't ask questions like this, like the Bible's just true. And if you don't think, people who don't think that, they're just wrong. And in some ways, I think that was the type of church that I grew up in. But one of the things for me is I've read the Bible many, 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 many times, is the fact of the matter is that the Bible teaches Christians to ask questions. Like the Bible is filled with questions. I'm working through the book of Galatians right now. For Christians, you sort of know what that is, and maybe others don't know what it is. But one of the things which marks that book is time and time and time and time again in the Bible, the Bible asks a question. And so the Bible forms Christians to ask questions. If you go back and you read the Gospels, this is one of the wonderful things about Jesus, is when people were asking him dishonest questions. By a dishonest question, I mean they didn't really care about the answer. What they were trying to do is get Jesus in trouble. And even questions that were just trying to get Jesus in trouble, he gave a very, very subtle answer, but he always gave an answer. He never told them that they were stupid or wrong or evil to ask a question. And when there were real questions, honest questions, Jesus delighted in it. So as a Christian, and this is what I want to say to my friend Bob, who asked me this question. In fact, it's one of the first things I said to Bob when he asked me this question. In a world of 10,000 religions, how can it possibly be the case that Jesus is the only way? And one of the things I said to him, this is a wonderful question. And, the Bible encourages me, Jesus encourages me to ask questions. And this is a little bit of an extra plug. Whether you're a Christian or whatever your spirituality is, or whether you're a skeptic, I really encourage you to ask as many questions as you can throughout tonight and tomorrow. Like, we're looking forward to hearing your questions. We really are. We're looking forward to hearing your questions. So my friend asks me this question. There's 10,000 religions in the world that have existed. How on earth can Jesus possibly be the only way? And so the first thing that I said to him, there's two problems with great questions, especially great questions like that. And the first problem is this. Can we do that? The tech move again. One of the things I said to my friend, those of you who go to my church know that what I try to do so I don't slip into saying somebody's name is I just call everybody who's a male Bob. And often if it's a girl, I call them Sue or Sally or something like that. So one of the things about my friend Bob, not his name, asking me this question is I said, Bob, here's the problem, it's a great, great question, but it's a lousy argument. And he said, what do you mean it's a lousy argument? Well, I said, you're basically asking me this question in a world of 10,000 religions, how on earth can Jesus be the only way? And basically, it's like, what's that the thing, in some things, they do the question, they drop the mic and walk away because they've got it, and everybody just stands up and applauds. And that's sort of a little bit like that, Bang, I got ya! Christianity is ridiculous. And I said, it's just a statement. That's all it is. It's not an argument. It's just a statement. I mean, I said this to him. I said, I don't know, if you were to say, there's jewelry, and a lot of jewelry is made out of glass, and a lot of jewelry is made out of plastic, and a lot of jewelry is just made out of paste, and a lot of jewelry is just made out of zircon. Therefore, diamonds don't exist. Like, that doesn't make any sense just because there's lots of different types of jewelry. If you were to say, there's monopoly money, counterfeit money, therefore real money doesn't exist, like, that doesn't make any sense. Just because there's lots of different things doesn't mean that one of the things out of all the things that are different don't actually exist. And in fact, actually, if you think of most examples like that, you think of diamonds, or you can do the same thing, with money. The fact that all the different things exists is in fact only because a real thing exists. And he said, well, actually, in this particular case, he just said a lot of words which I can't say from the stage to me, and walked away in a loud voice. But one of the nice things about developing friends is all I did is I prayed for him. And the fact of the matter is, because we were friends, we've had different bits and pieces of this conversation over the months that follow. But here's another thing that I said to him in a different time. Here's the other problem with a great question. So the great question, like, in a world of 10,000 religions, how can Jesus be the only way? It's a great question, but it's a lousy argument because it doesn't actually prove anything. It's just a statement, 10,000 religions, one of them's Christianity. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean, it doesn't mean anything, does it? But here's the other thing I said to him. The problem with great questions is that every way has to provide an answer. This is something which he really did not get, and I've had lots of conversations with him, not only with him, but I've had many, many, many people tell me different versions of the story that in a world of 10 observations, that in a world of 10,000 religions, how can you possibly believe that Jesus is the only way? I've had that many, many, many conversations in coffee shops about it. And I think in every single case, when I try to point out to them that every way has to provide an answer, there's an old Irish expression, they're gobsmacked. It's a little bit like the deer in the headlight look, because it had just never dawned on them that they have a way, and their way has to provide an answer as well. Now, some of you might say, George, Islam doesn't have to answer the question, in a world of 10,000 religions, can Jesus be the only way? That's stupid. Well, it is only if you see it, but here's the thing, you take out the word Jesus, and this is why every single religion or way has to provide an answer. For instance, in a world of 10,000 religions, can Islam be the only way? All you do is one of the reasons this question is so good is because there are 10,000 religions. One of the reasons this question is so good is because if there are 10,000 religions, what on earth does it possibly mean? If there are 10,000 religions, how on earth would you come to understand how any one of them would be true? If there are so many religions, how do religions account for the existence of other religions? How do religions account for the fact that some people would say that there is no God? How do religions account for that? How do they come to terms with that? And so on one level, this is a completely good question. It's a fact of the world. It's a fact of your own commitment. And it's an invitation to try to provide an account for it. But once you've posed this good question, it's not as if just Christians have to ask this question, because you can take out the word Jesus and put in every single one of the other 10,000 religions and all of the different ways. In a world of 10,000 religions, can Islam be the only way? That they would claim that, wouldn't they? In fact, every way claims it's the only way. Let's see if this is working. In a world of 10,000 religions, can atheism be the only way? My friend Bob, whom I could have taken a variety of conversations to share with you tonight, but I'm taking Bob as the one that I'm going to use. Bob is a very interesting fellow because he would say that two things describe him. He would say that he's an atheist, and he would also say that he was spiritual, not religious. That he's a spiritual atheist, or an atheist with a spiritual side. And actually, I think that probably describes a lot of people in Canada. Probably more people in Ottawa would describe themselves as atheists who are spiritual, not religious, than would describe themselves as evangelical Christians. And if some of you are here, we're really glad you're here, and we really hope you ask really hard questions, honest questions. But you see, if you think about it, in a world of 10,000 religions, can atheism be the only way? Well, they are implying that they're the only way. They're implying that every one of the other 10,000 religions is wrong. In fact, one of the points of making the statement that there's 10,000 religions is the implication that all of them are wrong, that somehow the fact that there's more than one proves that they're all wrong. But that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't follow at all. The fact that there's more than one of something proves that they're both wrong. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't prove anything. You have to make the case. In fact, here's another one. In a world of 10,000 religions, can Hinduism be the only way? And some of you might say, but George, like most of those 10,000 religions are in Hinduism. In some ways, all Hinduism is the religion of the people of India. And they would say that there's many, many different religions. In fact, they would say it's very simple, all ways lead to God. But no, that's not true. They are, in fact, making a specific claim because, as any Muslim or any Christian or any Jewish person or any atheist would say, they would say, no, you can't include me in that way. The atheist would say, I don't believe in any God. I don't believe there's anything. When you die, you die. You die, the worms get busy. That's what happens. You die, you get eaten. Christianity believes that, in fact, there is a certain type of God, and Jesus is the way of God. Jews, Islam, of course, believes there is but one God. His name is Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. They don't believe that there's 10,000 different ways to get there. In fact, when Hinduism makes its claim, they're making a claim against the other faiths. And here's the very controversial one, the one which is almost impossible for Canadians to believe. In a world of 10,000 religions, can spiritual, not religious, be the only way? Like in Ottawa, probably when they do surveys, this would probably be the second most popular answer in Ottawa after Catholic. And even many Catholics would probably describe themselves as spiritual, not religious. And you might say, but George, being spiritual, not religious, means we're open to everything. Well, one moment, no, you're not open to everything. Like, embrace what you believe. Like, embrace what you believe. And when you're saying that you're spiritual, not religious, by implication, you're saying that I'm wrong to believe that Jesus rose from the dead and that the God that Jesus revealed is in fact a God that actually does exist. You're saying I'm wrong. So just own it. So if you're spiritual, not religious, you need to also give an account for why your way, in a world of 10,000 religions, why is it that your way is true? So you see, this is the wonderful thing. It's a great, 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 great question. In a world of 10,000 religions, can Jesus be the only way? The problem with it is, once again, it's a great question, but a lousy argument. And the other thing which makes it such a great question is that everybody has to have some type of an answer for it. And this leads to, I think, my final point. I was having a conversation in a coffee shop about a month ago, and it got onto the question of evil, which I'm not going to talk about now. It's not the topic. And it was a very, very, very good, honest conversation, and I gave my answer as to how I would account for it. And at the end of it, I could tell that the person wasn't very convinced, which is fine. But one of the things I said to her is, like, just take a time out here for a second, and I just want to talk a little bit about what's going on. And I said, the fact of the matter is in a very, very good sense, you are such a skeptic that no answer that I give you, there's no possible answer that I could give you where you will not have some doubts and further questions. But here's the thing. What I think you're doing is you're looking for the perfect answer, but no perfect answers exist. Obviously, as I'm a Christian, I think there is an answer that comes from God that on one level is perfect. But on another level, as finite human beings who are fallen, which is a Christian belief, there is in fact no possible answer that will ever be perfect, that people will automatically see, unless it's something very simple about mathematics, or, I don't know, that the United States is beside Canada, like some trivial fact, which we can sort of know. But in fact, the matter is that because we're finite human beings and because we're fallen, that means that every single position, in fact, those of you who know philosophy, there's a very, very famous philosopher by the name of David Hume. I think he was writing in the 1700s, if I have that right. And he said, in fact, there's perfectly reasonable arguments to disbelieve that the sun will rise tomorrow. You can always doubt. And so what I said to her was this: there is a good answer which is also the best answer, but there are no perfect answers. Now, some of you might say, George, you don't sound like a Christian. I am a Christian. This is just how knowledge works. That's just how knowledge works. That's even how science works. Science, with its theories, never claim. It's only people who don't know science who claim that science has proven, the particular theory has proven something. It's just the best way to understand the state of the questions and the state of the research. And as new information, new knowledge, and new paradigms develop, then they develop into a new system of trying to put together how things work. It's always changing. All you can do is look for a good answer, which is the best answer, and then that's the answer you choose. And so here's the thing that I said to my friend when we were talking about the problem of evil, and it's also the thing that I say to people when I discuss this question. In a world of 10,000 religions, can Jesus possibly be the only way? And what I say is this: every way has to give an account. An atheist has to give an account of why all the 10,000 religions are wrong and why spiritual, not religious people are wrong. Atheists have to do that. Spiritual, not religious has to do that. Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, we all have to do it. We all have to give an account for why it is that their way is right, why it is that other religions exist, what do other religions mean. They all have to give an account for it. And here's what I would suggest. When you look at all of the accounts of it, you might go, really? That's your account of it? Really? That's your account of it? Really? That's your account of it? And here's the thing I would like to maintain. Compared to the other ways of answering the question, the Christian answer is coherent, and it is good, and it is the best answer. It really is the best answer. I think that's a completely intellectually defensible thing to say. When you compare how all the different ways answer the question, you would be struck at the wisdom and the depth of the Christian answer. Now, this is more than just an academic thing. This isn't a discussion about how many angels can dance on the head of a pin or something like that, which is actually a very interesting question about the relationship of mind to matter. But once again, I've probably led you down a false trail, and you're not thinking through this question. But here's the thing. This morning, in the same coffee shop that my Orthodox Jewish friend asked me about whether it was wise to invest in the cannabis industry, just before I left, I was reading my Bible. Once again, doing a subversive countercultural act in a Starbucks. And another friend of me, he pokes me on the shoulder and he says, "Is my name in that book?" Now, probably if this was being videotaped, there would be that deer in the headlight moment for George. And hopefully it didn't last longer than a second or two. And I actually said to him, "Well, actually, Bob, your name is in there." He said, "No, it's not." I said, "It is." I said, "Jesus said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, to the end that all who believe in him will not perish, but have everlasting life." And he was thinking of you when he said that, Bob. You're in the whoever. He was thinking of you. My friend looked at me. He's a very shy, quiet guy, and he smiled, and he said, "Well, that's very interesting," and off he walked. And I'm going to pray for him. And that was probably the fact that I had an answer like that, was that I'll find out in heaven that some little old lady in my congregation was praying for me right then. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been smart enough to have an answer like that. But here's the thing. We do not believe that it's merely an academic question in a world of 10,000 religions. Can Jesus be the only way? We believe that this is an important question because Jesus came to reveal God, and he revealed God by dying. My final thing, I was having a conversation with a young woman a couple of months ago, and she was going on and on and on and on about religion and how bloodthirsty it was, and I had one of these moments, and I said to her, after she vented, I said, "Here's the difference between you and me. For you, the gods that exist kill people. For me, the God that does exist died for people." We're talking about two completely different gods. So I'm really glad you're here. I really hope you ask good questions. And I really hope at the end of it, you will understand how John 3 is for you. Thank you very much.